Okay, so this is, I wanted to take the old swing that I had used to show you the stuff that we're working on in regards to hip load. This is zero chance to hit. I'm not even getting a good hip load back here. All I'm doing is rocking back. And by rocking back and failing to get my back hip and my back knee inside my back foot, watch how terrible this is. I rock up, and what do we say? What goes up must come down. My foot comes down backwards, and as I hit, here's why I can't hit. Look how my back knee is still stacked up over my back foot, which is actually starting to turn out that way, right? As I look here again, see how my hip is up and down? Up and down. I'm not loading anything. Look, see how I get a little bit of hip load here, but I immediately, see how I lose it? It's worthless, right? Can't hit that way. And as a result, look how terrible an army that swing is. See how early my arms come into play? And as we talk about a systematic approach to hitting, not based on adjustments or based on tips, right? I can't hit because I rock up, my hip gets somehow loaded, but as I rock up, I'm going to just flop down. I've wasted everything right there. And look how early my hips, or excuse me, how early my hands come into play, okay? Okay, so the swing on the left is my first attempt at trying to fix what I was doing wrong. So I get a negative movement, and my negative movement, I get a pretty good hip load, right? Once again, I'm going to get negative movement into my hip load there. It's not bad, not a bad job of loading my hip. However, my swing fails to generate any good stretch with my lower half because as we zoom in, check this out. Look at what happens to my back knee, right? So we're looking right here. See how it turns out? Watch my back knee. See how it turns out? Once it turns out, death move. See how it has to come back in? So everything that matters when we hit is this, right? How well do I load, as we work on our movements, how well do I load my back hip? Now, I don't do a bad job of pinching my back hip. That's pretty darn loaded right there. Like, that's pretty loaded. But this good stuff is completely negated by this garbage right here of turning my knee back. And what happened? I allowed my front side to dictate what my back side was doing, when this side is the only side that matters. So I can't do this because when I try to get negative movement to load my hip, right? And I mean, it did get me to go out, right? But I still get a little bit up and down, and I don't get a real good stretch between my upper half and lower half. So at the advice of Coach Kutsopoulos, we were talking for a while. He told me to imagine that I had a little hurdle right there. And he said, just step over the hurdle. Now, I still hate my hip action in that I'm getting up and then down, right? This is not level. As we go through the checklist that I'm going to give you, we want to see if we can be level. But I do a much better job. Now you can see, right, I'm going to get a little bit of a rock, got my back hip loaded. A little bit of a rock, I got my back hip loaded, right? As I zoom in, that's pinched, right? That is pinched. Pretty loaded. Now, watch the difference. Let's get some zoomage. Okay? Okay? So here's first adjustment, and this is why we watch everything on film. No chance to hit. None. Okay? If I keep doing this without making an adjustment, I'll never be good. Now, watch the difference here. See how it goes? See how it goes? But I had to be conscientious of that. Let's zoom back out, okay? Zoom, zoom, okay? Watch the difference again. Back knee in this one goes back, really no stretch. This one, all I'm doing is stepping over the hurdle. Look how late my hands go back because of that. I mean, I get it. I'm no good at all, but that's a pretty darn good movement right there. Now, look at how much more separation I'm able to get, right? Disconnection, whatever you want to call it. And it would be even better if I didn't get this nonsense of up and then down, right? Up and then down. But it's still a much better movement to engagement. And even look, when my stride foot hits there versus my stride foot hits there, see how much more distance I've gained? See how much of a better position I'm in? See how much more I've got my back hip inside my back foot, my back knee inside my back foot? I mean, it's really clear how much more I am loaded, and I can turn. Let me do that again. Turn there. Not even close. This guy can't hit. This guy has a chance to hit.